Hi, welcome to another session with Desa Yogi. Today we'll practice a foundation preliminary course for beginners. We will be practicing without many props, but if you do have some props, you can get them. You can have a couple blocks, you can have a strap. Later on, we'll be doing a inversion, which you can either do or I'll give you an alternative pose to do. Okay, so if you've been practicing a while and you've seen some of the other videos and you just want to have a refresher on the preliminary, then you can join me here. Okay? Before we get started, if you enjoy this video and find it helpful, please give it a like. And if you're new to my channel, subscribe and don't forget to click the bell so that you are notified when the new videos are uploaded. Now let's get started. All right, so first of all, just sitting equally on both sitting bones so that you feel that you're on a stable base. So you can feel the left sitting bone and the right sitting bone. And to feel that a little bit more, you just bring your hands back behind you and press the fingertips into the floor. So as you press the fingertips into the floor, you lift up. So in any action that we do, we have to have an opposing action. So the opposing action would be the fingers pressing down. Elbows are bent, and with that I can start to widen through the chest as well. So collarbones are wide, shoulders are moving back, and as the shoulders move back, the back body moves forward. So especially right behind the chest often sinks, the sternum sinks, and for many reasons, how we sit lately with the computers, with reading books, whatever it may be, you may have gotten into the habit of not being able to sit up straight. So just use your hands, use your arms and your fingers to lift up. So we're lengthening through the side of the trunk, and your hips and your thighs are descending down. Okay, so keeping that action, you want to be aware of where you are in your sitting bones. So your sitting bones, you could be toward the front and you would be leaning, listing forward, or you could be toward the back of your sitting bones and you would be moving back. If it's difficult to sit up and you feel like you have a rounded back, you can take some height underneath your hips. You can take a block or you could take a blanket. Take something just to raise your hips up. If you don't need that, no problem. But if you find that your knees are lifting up quite a bit, that means your back is probably going to be rounding. You don't have the support of the middle part of the back and the lower back. So just take that support that you need and feel the feet. Feet are moving down, again with that dynamic action of opposing action, pressing down with the feet and lifting up through the trunk. And then just be aware of that, those places in your body where you can feel the ground, where you can feel the block if you're using a block or a blanket. And then bring your hands to the front of your chest in Namaste, Namaskar, and press the fingers and the palms together. And then we'll just close our eyes. So with your eyes closed, become aware of how you are seated, where you feel the different pressure in the body, pressure points, and just your sensations, your breath, the activity in your mind. And just let your breath be relaxed, soft, slow, and smooth breath. And just take 5 or 10 breaths here with your eyes closed, sitting upright, feeling your inhalation, feeling your exhalation. Bring your mind to a quiet place. See how the breath helps you to come into more stillness, More awareness of your breath. And then keeping the chest lifted, bow your head. Bring your hands down to your thighs. And then lift your head up. Okay, we'll come to a standing position. So whatever you're sitting on, just move that to the side and stand in the center of your mat. So we'll start with some standing poses, with the main focus first on the arms and the shoulders. So bring your feet together, inner edges of the feet together, and thighs, outer thighs moving in toward the center. All right, this is Tadasana, basic standing pose. If there's some injury in your hips, or you feel that that is too difficult to stand with your legs close together, then have your feet separated slightly. All right, so now you'll be on the inner edge of the ball of the foot. Press the toes down, and inner edges of the heel, pressing out to the outer heel as well, so you feel the weight through the big toe side to the little toe side, the mounds of the foot, inner and outer heel. And as you press into those points, just lift the toes up. And as you lift the toes up, just allow the knees to lift up and feel that energy moving up through the legs. So again, equal and opposite action, opposing action, as you press down into the soles, kind of getting rooted down into the ground. So you feel those roots moving down, something to help stabilize yourself. And again, if you don't feel stable, it's too unstable with your feet together, bring your feet a little bit apart. Okay? Now finding those points, lengthen your toes out along the floor. Thighs are moving back, and buttocks is moving forward. So when you move the thighs back, just show from the side. Moving the thighs back might give you the tendency to overarch your lower back. So that again is opposing action. So the thighs are moving back, inner thighs are rolling back, but the middle buttocks, so the very center, this is your upper buttocks, your lower buttocks, that center buttocks moving forward. You can feel the tailbone moving into the body. So that brings a firmness, that brings action to the legs, and it also helps to lift up. So as the feet press down, think of maybe something coming right up from the top of the head, lifting you up. So the neck lengthens, the trunk lengthens, inner legs lengthen up. Just bring your attention to your breath. Stand in Tadasana. So Tadasana is a pose which is a base pose, and we come back to Tadasana quite often, either to rest in between poses or to do some other sorts of movements. Okay, so now you're going to come into Urdhva Hastasana. So from Tadasana, lifting up, lift the chest, move your shoulders down. From the tips of the shoulders, moving down into the fingertips. Feel that action of moving down, and as you move the arms down, you can feel the lift of the trunk. So from the waist up through the armpit area, you're lifting, but you're not lifting your shoulders. So your shoulders are moving down, shoulders are heavy, right down through the fingertips. So coming into Urdhva Hastasana, bring the arms out in front of you, palms are facing one another, and then lift the arms up. So as you lift the arms up, again, remembering that movement, the action of the arms lifting and the feet descending. The legs firm, inner thighs moving back, back buttocks moving forward with the tailbone. So you have that firmness through the legs. Lifting up. Exhale, bring your hands down and down toward the floor. We'll do that again. Inhale, lift up. Feel the weight on the feet. Inner thighs rolling back. Middle buttock, tailbone lifting, moving forward. Reach up through the arms. Just breathe. And exhale, bringing the hands down. Okay, so now we're going to do one more with the arms, or a few more. You bring your arms out and interlace your fingers, and just notice which finger is on the top. So here I have my left finger on the top, so just note that, because when you change the cross on your fingers, you'll want to bring the other finger. So here I've interlaced the fingers, press the hands out. So now I'm pressing the fingers against the front of the hand to broaden through the palm. So oftentimes we have the fingers moving toward the wrist because we're doing activities that call for that. Press and open through the palm of the hand. Stretch out through the arms, through the wrist. In particular, the wrist moving this way as the palm is moving this way. And now as you move your arms forward, bring your chest back. Lift the chest. Inhale, reach the arms up. So now here you're extending up and you have a little bit of leverage. You can press the hands, press the fingers against the hand and reach up. But keep connected in the feet. Exhale, bring the arms down. Change the cross on the fingers. So when I reach, I'll show this to the side, when I reach forward with my arms, the tendency is to move your shoulders forward, and then buttocks goes out. Okay, so standing back in Tadasana, I don't want to bring the shoulders forward. I want to keep this openness through the chest. So just be aware that the upper arm shoulder is moving back, and you're lifting and bringing the arms up toward the ceiling. So there you can start to open through the armpit area. We call this the armpit, chest. So this whole armpit, whole chest, and the back shoulder blade are all related. So when we're working with arm positions, we're really trying to get more mobility, flexibility into the arms and shoulders, dropping the shoulders down. Breathe, be aware of your breath. And exhale, coming down. And then stand back in Tadasana. And just be aware of how you're breathing. If that was very strong, if you needed to recover the breath in Tadasana. So Tadasana is a bit of a resting pose. Not that you're resting, your legs are still active, you're still lifting up, but you're just recovering from whatever pose you've been doing. If you did a little bit too much, or you lost your breath a bit. So always coming back to Tadasana to have a little bit of a pause. Okay, we're going to do that one again. Baddhanguliyasana, turn the palms out, press the hands, inhale, lift up. So feeling that front armpit area opened, facing me, and directly behind is your shoulder blade. So your shoulder blade is moving down and forward, and then bringing the hands down. So I'll just show from the back. So your shoulder blade is here, and the shoulder blade needs to be moving down. Oftentimes the shoulder blade is lifting up, which is what I showed when the shoulders are moving forward. So the shoulder blade's moving down the back, okay? And they're also pushing toward the wall. So that is that opposing action again. So I'll show here, to open the armpit area, the shoulder blade is moving toward the chest, which helps you to get the openness through the shoulders, straighten the arms, so the elbows are straight, bring the arms back. And then release the arms down. Good. And then I'm just coming back to Tadasana. So you come into Tadasana. Again, release your arms. If for any reason that was difficult for you, as in Urdhva Hastasana, you can have a strap. And everyone has a strap, a belt, something, sash, a rope. If there's tightness in your shoulders or you've had an injury, you can Just bring your arms up like this. Holding the belt. If it's difficult even to do that, then you can bring the arms wider. So what I want you to do is straighten the elbows. If the elbows don't straighten, then take a little bit more space and lift up. Okay? So coming back to the feet. And then you can take the hands and pull on the strap, and you'll be able to feel that across the upper back. As you pull on the strap outward, at the same time, the outer arms are moving in. So just learning those little points where you can use your own body as a bit more leverage to create more space. Okay? So now, coming back to Tadasana, you're going to bring your arms out to the side, lift the arms, and rotate the shoulder. So I'm turning the shoulder, I'm turning the whole arm for the palm to face up. And then you'll come back to Urdhva Hastasana. Remember we started with the hands here and we went up. Now we're starting rolling the shoulders, turning the palms, and as if you're pressing into a ball, press and lift up. So just feeling the difference of coming into it that way, feeling the difference with your shoulders. Bring your arms down, now turn the arms, bring the hands down, and then we'll do that one more time. So bring the arms up, palms facing down this time, and then rotate the whole shoulder, the whole arm, turn the palm, turn the forearm, and then inhale, bring the arms up, and bring your hands together. Urdhva Namaskar, hands together. Press into the hands. If you need to cross the thumbs, and reach up. Be aware of your breath. Straighten the elbows. And then exhale. Turn the arms, turn the palms to face down, and come back to Tadasana. So recovering your breath, just be within your Tadasana, so feeling the balance, the weight in your feet, feeling the action through the legs, the pelvis staying level by rolling those thighs back and moving the tailbone and middle buttocks forward. And then lifting up, lift the chest up, lift up through the armpit area, drop the shoulders, drop the arms down. And then coming into Namaskar. So you'll bring the hands together. We did this above the head, Urdhva Namaskar. So bringing the hands here. And take the elbows out. So just see when you connect the hands, by bringing the elbows out and pressing from the elbow to the forearm, press into the palm of the hand. You can see how much connection you get. You get broadness through the front of the chest, you get broadness through the upper back. Just be there, breathe into that. So often in our day, our fingers are bent, our wrists are bent in an opposite flex position. So just using this time to observe where you feel a little discomfort in either your wrist or your hands or your palm, and breathe into it. Oftentimes we like to run away from pain that we feel. And sometimes that pain is good pain. So knowing the difference between good pain and bad pain. If there's any pain for you in your wrist here, it will go away after you stop. But just by virtue of you staying with it, staying with the breath, just guiding your mind to release it through the breath, release the sensations, will help. Every time will become a little bit easier. And then bring your hands down to Namaste. Okay, we're going to do Paschima Namaskar. That's behind the back. So I'll turn. You bring one hand up, and you turn. You're going to be on the little finger side of the hand. All right, so I'll just go into it for you. And now I'm going to scoot this finger up. And if you have a lot of folds in your shirt, you might get caught. So just do your best to slide the hands up and then connect all the fingers. The index finger, the ring finger, the thumb. And as you do that, so I started out having to get the fingers to meet and match up. You might have brought your shoulders forward. So now bringing the shoulders back, widen through the collarbones. And like I showed you earlier when we had our hands in front of the chest, from the elbows, press into the forearm. And from the forearm, press into the mounds of the thumb, the index finger, the third finger, the fourth finger, and the baby side. Okay, you can feel where the hand is lined up, right in the center of the spine. Now maybe that's not possible for you, so you can just take your hands onto your elbows, like so, or wherever you can reach. If you've had some sort of shoulder injury, you take your hands behind you. And then same thing, front body is widening, shoulders are moving back, and imagine that you had your little finger side of the hand right against the center of the spine there, center of the back. Draw that in and lift the chest up. So where the hands are is directly behind the sternum bone. So you're lifting up. You're not pushing out so much, but you're lifting, okay? So if you push out, and you're very flexible, then you'll just end up doing a little back bend here and getting a little compression. So the lift comes from the lower ribs lifting up. So just lift straight up. Don't do a back bend. Broaden through the front chest. Breathe. And now switch sides. So if you had your hands behind you in Namaskar, bring the other hand up. So if you have to start down here, then you can start inching your way up. And then it doesn't matter if you don't go all the way up like I showed you the first time. Just take your fingers and start bringing your fingers together. You might not connect all the fingers. You might not connect to the palm, but you're getting closer. So every time you try, every time you do it, your muscles will start to get the idea of what it is that you're wanting to do there. So you can see my little finger side is toward the spinal column. From there, I'm lifting up, pressing the elbows, pressing the forearms, press the wrist. So this can counteract carpal tunnel, which is a challenge that some people have because they're on their devices so much. So release. So you see we're moving in this action a lot, so here we're moving in the opposite, which is starting to get that blood flowing there. All right? Okay, so stand back in Tadasana. And now you're going to bring weight onto both feet. Feel both, the weight on the right, so you can weight to the right side. So this is my right side. I'm mirroring you. And then weight to the left side. And just feel the difference in the two legs. And then come to a balanced position between both. So you're spreading through the ball of the foot, you're spreading through the heel. And you can feel the weight even. Maybe you don't. Maybe you're moving to the right, moving to the left, but that's all good information for you to take in. Maybe you're coming forward a little bit to the ball of the foot. Maybe you're moving back toward the heels. You can even do that purposely so that you can see what happens when you move forward. When you move forward, the kneecaps lift and the legs tighten. When you go back, you can feel that. Your toes lift up. And then when you go onto the left side, you can see you're on the outer side of the foot. Oftentimes you can look at your shoe and see how you're walking. That will give you information. All right, so we want to walk in a balanced way. We want the inner ankles lifted. So now coming onto your left foot, raise up your right leg. You can bring your hands onto your hips. This is Vrikshasana. This is tree pose. So again, you want to have that image of the foot grounded and some roots. Roots moving downward, that opposing action as you lift up through the leg. As you lift up through the leg, keeping this leg firm and strong, you can go to a wall just to have your balance. So I'll show you at the wall. You can do that. And then if you have your balance, then you just take your hand away from the wall. All right? So just learning to get that balance and what's required in the leg. So I'm bringing the foot up to the inner thigh, heel as far up as you can, toes pointing down, and then just bring your hands onto your hip. Using this hand at the wall to stabilize yourself. Press the foot into the thigh, and at the same time, press the thigh into the foot. So there's this compact action. Foot toward the bone of the thigh, and the outer thigh toward the bone of that thigh. So keeping your hand at the wall, you can start to walk the hand up. Here, you're dropping the hip, and you're standing tall on that left hip. So if you have your balance, you can bring one arm up first, and then you'll bring the other arm up. And just observe the little micro movements in the foot, the leg, middle buttocks moves forward, lift up through the chest, reach up through the arms. And then bring the hands down. And you can turn and do the other side. So stabilizing, come back into Tadasana. Bring the weight to the right foot, bring the left foot up. And bring the foot to the inner thigh. So this leg is lengthening. Starting to move into your hips here. You want the pelvis to be level. So drop the tailbone, drop the top of the buttocks, and stabilize yourself. Stabilize the breath, and then you can start to walk the hand up. If you don't need the wall, then you can just go directly into raised arms, Urdhva Hastasana. We practiced that earlier. So combining the raised arms with the one leg that's bent. And then bring the hands down. Release the leg. We'll try that again. So take the wall if you need the wall. Coming back to Tadasana in between each pose. Lift the leg up. Bring the foot to the inner thigh. So keep the hands on the hips to begin with. If you have a chair, you don't have a wall, you can have a chair there to have your hand on. So take whatever you need to support yourself. You can bring your arms out, which will help you to counterbalance, and then rotate the arms, rotate the shoulders, and inhale, lift up. And then bring the hands down, release the leg. So staying as long as you want in that pose. If you don't have your balance and you need a little bit more balance, you can bring the whole body to the wall. All right, so I'll show you that way as well. So you bring your foot up behind the rope here. And regarding the foot, so some of you may only be able to come up this high, that's okay. Some of you may be able to only do that. So the action is the rotation of the leg. So you're externally rotating the leg, turning it out, and then you're bringing the foot to the thigh. Wherever you can bring it onto the leg, press the foot into the thigh. And this is a good way to do it because you can feel your shoulders. So you know where they are in space. You can feel the wall, and you can see where your shoulders are. You can also use the wall to bring this knee back toward the wall. Remember, opposing action. The buttock tends to go back. So I can feel my buttock on the wall. So now, as I bring this leg toward the wall, I want to bring my buttock away from the wall. And then you can take your thumbs at the wall, reach the fingers up, Breathe. The standing leg, this is firmly pressing toward the foot that's on the inner thigh. Again, finding those roots, and then release the leg. Can't remember if I showed you the other side or not, so I'll just show you the other side at the wall. So bring your foot up. So this hip can tend to press out. I can't see you, so I'm not sure what you're doing. So I'm just going to bring that to your attention, that this hip, you want to keep this outer hip really compact. So you're protecting the hip joint, and you're using your own body to help you lift up. And then reach the arms up. You can take the thumbs to the wall, and then bring the weight onto the foot, bring the middle buttocks forward, lift the chest, reach the arms up. And then bring the hands down, and then bring the leg down. So as long as we're at the wall, I'll show this one at the wall. This is Utkatasana. So this is chair pose, and in chair pose, you are sitting down like you're sitting on a chair. So you're moving your feet away. You can have your feet hips width apart just to begin with, and you'll slide the top of the buttocks down. Feel the back at the wall. All right, from here, press into the feet and move the thighs back. So the thighs are moving toward the wall. You can feel that. You're holding yourself up there. And then bring your arms up, Urdhva Hastasana. And lift up. Thighs are parallel. Observe your breath. Keep breathing. And then bring the hands down and come away from the wall. You can try it once away from the wall. We'll do it a second time. Come back to Tadasana. We'll start with the hands on the hips. Okay? You can bring your hands onto your hips just to begin with. So remember, shoulders are moving back, elbows are bent. So here you're bending your knees. You're starting to, with your ankles really, you're bending your ankles, you're bending your knees. And then remember how we had to bring the hips back toward the wall. So once you're in the bent position, moving from the knees back toward the hips, collarbones wide, chest wide, stays open. And then bring your arms out. Counterbalance yourself. So you can see the thighs are parallel. You can even bring the knees together to create a little bit more leverage for yourself. Drop the tailbone down. And then if you're ready to bring the arms up, bring the arms up. Urdhva Hastasana arms. Release your hips down. Inhale, come up, bring your arms down. Let's take a few breaths in Tadasana. Balance the breath, the inhalation and the exhalation. So you want to be mindful of what you're achieving in your practice. You're not only moving the body and creating action through the engagement of your mind as well to direct your actions, but you're also creating a certain stillness within yourself. Maybe not in the beginning, but as you progress, there's a quietness that comes. So as you bend, reaching up, inhale, come up, and then bring the hands down. Okay, so now we're going to stand again in Tadasana. You're going to be very used to Tadasana. So the thighs are rolling back, middle buttocks forward, lengthening from the pubic bone to the navel to the chest, so the whole front body is lifting up. Imagine you had a wetsuit on and you were zipping it up. So the front body is lifting Shoulders are descending, shoulder blades are moving down, tops of the buttocks moving down. So the front body is moving back basically, and the back body is moving forward. You're lengthening up. You're staying grounded through the feet. Now we're going to bring our hands to this position, arms out, and then bring the hands to the chest. We're just going to practice some jumping. So you'll bend your knees and jump the feet out. Okay? So when you jump the feet, I want you to end up with the outer edge of the foot in line with the outer edge of the mat. So you're jumping your feet wide. You're bending your knees to do that. So we'll just reverse that. We'll do it a couple times. Bend the knees, jump the feet together, and come back to Tadasana. Again, bring the arms up. Now, if you have a problem or a challenge with your knee, if you've had an injury or some reason you shouldn't be jumping, then you would just walk your feet apart. So I'll show you how to do that. Just walk your feet, take a nice wide stride, about 3.5, 4.5 feet apart, long legs, okay? And now, walking your feet back in, coming back in, so like this. Okay, so either choose walking out or jumping. We'll do it a couple times. Inhale, exhale, jump. So you're bending your knees, you're coming onto the pads of the feet. You can look down and just adjust your feet if your feet didn't go where you thought they were going to go. Sometimes they have a mind of their own. And inhale, bring the legs back together. So oftentimes the body is not doing what we think it's doing. So in the beginning you have to check. You have to direct yourself. Inhale, exhale, jumping. Okay, now we're going to turn to Urdhva Baddhanguliyasana, turning the right leg out. And if you look down at your feet, the front heel is in line with the back arch. So if I drew a line, it would come right here. Okay, now if after you have that kind of alignment, you feel like you need a little bit more space between the legs, you can take the back leg back a little bit. But we'll start with here, or either have it aligned with the back heel. All right, like in Vrikshasana, when we were externally rotating the leg, this front leg is externally rotating. This leg is just lifting. It's lifting and it's opening through the pelvis. So take your arms out to the side, and we'll go into Utthita Trikonasana. So you can just watch me first. Exhale, I'm lengthening over this front leg, and I'm keeping the arm in line right over the center of the leg. Coming down, you can bring your hand onto your hip. Now I feel like I can have a little bit more space. You can move that heel back a little bit. All right? Press your hand down. Looking forward. Extend the arm up. So there's a little rotation that's happening here. Your chest is turning. From the back waist, from the back, middle back, you're turning. Just keep your head so that it's in line. You're not hanging the head, but your bottom ear is lifted up, and look forward. Inhale, come up, turn both feet parallel, and we'll turn to do the other side. Hands on your hips. Externally rotate this left leg, pressing back through the back heel. Remember, opposing action. So the buttock is still coming forward, right? As you rotate that thigh, the buttock is cutting under and it's moving forward. You're still opening through the front. Extend the arms out. Inhale, exhale. Lengthening. Bring your back hand onto your hip and then find your shin. You can press your hand down. I like to come right onto the webbing of the hand and press that down into the bone so you have a little bit of leverage to lift up. Now rolling that shoulder back, turn the chest, and then bring the arm up. Just look forward to begin with. Make sure your head is not hanging. Lengthening the neck, both sides of the neck. And then to come up, pressing into the feet, get that firmness through the legs, lift the bottom arm, come up, turn the feet, And then we'll jump the feet together. Okay, coming into Tadasana again, inner edges of the feet. Feeling the weight across the front of the foot and through the back of the foot. Thighs are active, back body moving forward, chest is lifting. Soften your breath. And then we'll do that one again. Utthita Trikonasana. So inhale, exhale, jump the feet apart. Just observe where your feet have gone. Correct them if you need to. Turn that back heel, your left heel. Externally rotate the right leg. So you can bend the knee and you turn the leg. So it's moving, it's turning right at the hip socket. Stay well grounded through both feet. Now bring your hand onto your hip. Raise your right arm and lengthen. Use this arm to help you extend over that leg and lengthen more. You want to continue to extend through the side body and then bring your hand down right onto the shin bone, press down, and then turn the chest. So using that press of the hand on the shin bone, rotate the back body. And then bring the arm up. Extend the arm up so you create broadness across the front chest, broadness across the collarbones and the upper back, turning that chest up toward the ceiling. And then if you've been able to turn enough, turn and look up at your hand. Look up at the ceiling. Keep the neck long. Keep the lower ear lifting up. And then inhale, come up, turn both feet, and jump your feet together. Come back to Tadasana. So we took Tadasana before we go to the other side. We held that a little bit longer. So at any point, if you want to come to Tadasana to have a little bit of break, you do that. Let's try again. Inhale, exhale, jump the feet apart, turn that back right heel, externally rotate the left leg. Feel that you're on the front of the back of the foot of both feet. Lift up through the knees. So you keep the legs firm. And then coming down the same way we did the other side, extend that arm and lengthen it. So you're moving from that back heel, you're lengthening. Bring your hand onto the shin. Pause there, press down, rolling that shoulder back like we did earlier. When the palms were parallel to the floor, turn the chest. Breathe. And then extend the other arm up. Press, turn any amount that you can. Stay with your breath. Keep that bottom ear lifting up so you're not shortening that side of the neck. Bring your head back just a little bit so you stay to the back. And then coming up, press into both feet, lift the arm, and come up. Turn your feet parallel, and jump the feet together. Coming back to Tadasana, inner edges of the feet, outer hips, pelvis, pubic bone lifting up to the navel, lifting up. Just come back to your breath. Come back to that quiet breath, that sense of grounding through the feet, that sense of height and lift through the chest. Taking a few breaths there, stabilizing yourself. Okay, we're going to do another standing pose, Warrior Two. So you're going to bring your hands to your chest, inhale, exhale, jump the feet apart. Okay, so now here you'll just bring your hands onto your hips and turn that back heel, externally rotate the front leg, and then bend the front knee. As you bend the front knee, just watch where the knee is going, tracking over the second and third toe. So like in Vrikshasana, when we brought our foot to the inner thigh, this is lengthening, and you're using the foot to draw back. Extend through that back leg, and lengthen the arms. Drop your shoulders, And then turn and look over your front hand. Let your hip drop. Breathe. Inhale, come up. Hands on your hips. Externally rotate that back leg, or right leg. Or press the heel back. Externally rotate the left leg. Hands on your hips. Come down into that bent knee position. So you want to have the knee over the ankle. If you're in this position, it's a lot of strain on the knee. Or if you're in this position. So measure your distance. Usually you have to take this back leg back a lot further and come down. And if you don't have much mobility in your hips, then doing this pose quite a few times will help. So you're bending here, tailbone is moving down, chest is lifting. So you can see my trunk stays in the middle between the two legs. I'm not falling toward my left knee. And then turn and look over my front hand. So stay with your breath. Inhale, come up, turn the feet, and jump the feet together. Stand Tadasana. All right, we'll practice now Uttanasana. Uttanasana, we're going to take this as a resting pose. All right, so you'll take your feet hips width apart. I'll show it to you from the side. I'll show you both ways. So feet are hips width apart, legs are straight, and you're going to come over. You're bending here. So you can take your hands right at the hip socket. Feel your fingers move into that space, into the front groin, as you lengthen forward. Okay, so as you do that, you can just stay here. You can feel the backs of the thighs. From the heel, from the calves, press down into the heel, from the lift of the kneecap, the back of the knee, opening, and lift up from the backs of the thighs. So we're sitting so much that we oftentimes get tightness in the backs of the knees, tightness in the hamstrings. So this helps us to bring more awareness into that area. You can take your hands down on your shins, lengthen forward, and then feel where the weight is on your feet. So you can feel, or you can see here, if I'm got the weight on my heels, my hips are moving back. All right, so I want to line up my hips over my heels, so I'm coming back toward the mounds of the feet, and then I'm going to intentionally bring my attention to the thighs, the back of the thighs, and lift. And then from here, you can bend the elbows and release the head down. Shift your weight again. Keep the kneecaps lifted. And just let your body come down with gravity. We'll come up one more time. Lengthen. Bring your hands onto your hips. Got a lot of cord going on here. Okay, so coming down again, hands at the front groin, moving in. This time you can walk your hands forward. So for those of you that can, if you can't and you have some blocks, you can take the blocks and walk the arms forward so you get more length through the side of the trunk. You can even take the blocks higher. You can use a chair. So coming into the height that you need. You might not need any height. If you don't, then you just bring your fingertips onto the floor, lengthen. Let your head be between the arms. Manage that weight on your feet. Lift up through the backs of the legs. And then you can walk your fingertips back, holding onto the elbows. So as you hold onto the elbows, thumb in the crease of the elbow and hands on the outer elbow, hold the arms and move the arms down so that you start to release the back. So you start to come down with gravity. Use your breath, exhale. Feel the breath in the abdomen. And then change the cross on the arms. So other side. Arms are behind the head, so they're in line with the shoulders. Elbows in line with the shoulder, and pull the arms down. And then bring your fingertips back either onto the floor or onto your shins. Look up, move your shoulders up away from the floor, lift your head at the same time, and come up. If that was difficult for you, you can always use the hips at the wall to lean into, depending on your body's condition. Everyone's a little bit different. Your sitting bones would be sliding up. You get that same depth through the front of the groin, and then you can walk your arms forward, or just take your hands holding onto the elbows. Okay. We're going to come down on the mat, sitting in Dandasana. So in Dandasana, this is also one of our base poses. We do a lot of poses from this. So the legs are straight, the eyes are descending, bringing the fingertips back. And just like when we started out, I used a blanket or a platform underneath the hips. You can use the block as well. So I'll just show it that way as well. Why would you use it? You use it if when you're sitting up, you're like this on the floor. This helps you to get a little height, and it takes the pressure out of your hamstrings. Okay? So from here, you're going to raise your arms up and come forward any amount. So again, we're bending at that hip socket. We're coming forward with those arms we were working with earlier, Urdhva Hastasana, and coming forward. I'm going to take my feet a little bit apart. If you have a bolster or a block, you can come forward. And that might not be feasible for everyone. So forward bending is a little bit dependent on your body type. Okay, in the beginning, it was very difficult for me to go forward. So you can just stay in this position and lift up, or you can bend. If you have a bolster or a chair, you can bring your head down onto that chair. But the legs are descending. The backs of the knees are opening, kneecaps are lifting, and you're resting your head. Just allowing the back to lengthen. Paschimottanasana. Again, if that is too difficult, then just stay in this position, lengthening the arms, lengthening the back, and having the legs active. All right, and then come up. You're going to come down onto the floor now for Savasana. You've had a good practice. As you began to open into the arms and the shoulders, the legs, getting some rotation through the trunk and extension through the armpit area. So now, in Savasana, this is the final pose. This is an important pose as well. So don't think that just lying down on your back with your eyes closed is something you don't need to do. After we've done our practice, we come down with the knees bent and then lengthen the lower back. So we all need a little bit of restorative, and at the end of your practice, Savasana helps you to just be able to let go of everything, allow the body to do what it needs to do. Yoga is working for us whenever we don't know it's even working. So there are things that, there's so much of us that we're not aware of because it's inside us. Our nervous system, our brains, all of our systems within the body that are working. So everything that you've done will be something that will give to you later, continue to give to you. So stretch your legs out. When you stretch your legs out, so first let me back up. I lifted the hips, tucked the tailbone under, so I'm on the lower back. So I don't want to come down with my back lifted. Come down like this. Stretch your left leg out, stretch your right leg out. You can look down between your legs and see that your legs are lined up with your pelvis. And feel where your shoulders are, so you're right in the center, so that your body's not crooked, okay? And then take your hands on your mat, and one at a time, roll your shoulders under. So you're getting that tuck of the shoulder blade, you're getting that turning of the arm like we did when we were doing the standing poses. So one at a time, roll the shoulder under and make space in your neck, okay? Oftentimes the neck is being thrown back. I'll just get this blanket. So if you have tight shoulders or tightness in your chest, you can build it up a little bit by bringing a blanket right up to the shoulders. All right, so that you have that length and your head is not moving back like this. So if I had tightness in my arms and the shoulders would be lifted and my head would be thrown back. So that's not going to be a very restful position. So we want to maintain that alignment that we've been working on getting. So first, lengthen the back of the head. You have two bones right at the back of the head. Lengthen those bones. Be right on the center of the back of the head. And then bring your arms down. And now just let the legs roll out naturally, the calves, the little toe side of the foot moving down toward the floor. And with that, you get a broadness coming through the pelvis. You can feel the hips evenly balanced. If there's anywhere you need to make any adjustment, you do that. And then separate your arms from your trunk just a bit so that you have some space in the armpit area. If you're too close, your shoulders will lift up. So to have a little bit of space, not too much space, but just have that space that you can feel there's a relaxation that comes through the armpit area and the shoulders. And then you can just be here. So just allow the body to release down, releasing all the muscles. Just allow the breath to help you do that. And your exhalation, letting go, particularly in the abdominal area. Feeling the movement of the chest. Feeling the movement, the abdomen. And you can stay there. Stay there for as long as I'm going to stay. So you can usually stay in your own practice for 5 minutes, 10 minutes, whatever you have time for. Shavasana is usually one of the most difficult poses because we're always ready to get up and start moving, where the mind is active and you're thinking about what you're going to do. So just allow yourself this time to release completely, start to observe what you feel in your body, observe what you feel with the breath. Let the breath lengthen so that the breath helps to connect the body to the mind and relax the mind. To come up, you're going to bring left hand on your abdomen and the right hand on your abdomen. Bend your knees. And then you'll turn onto your right side and bring your arm above so you can rest your head on the arm, or if you have the blanket there, you rest on the blanket. Just open and close your eyes softly. Start getting used to being aware of the outer world, being aware of your breath, and then press yourself up. Okay, then you can come back to a seated position and take a nice deep breath in and out, and just notice the difference of how you feel before your practice and after your practice. Thank you for allowing me to be with you. We'll see you next time. Namaste. Thank you for joining me. If you've learned something and you want to learn a little bit more, go along at this pace and a little bit more than that. Look at the 3-part beginner series, which I have here, and that will guide you to moving slowly through the practice. Okay? All right. Thanks for joining me. Namaste.